everyone, today we're going to be working on our final review of our monomial and polynomial units. So let's go ahead and start with number one. So if you remember, when we are multiplying polynomials, when we multiply our big numbers and we add our little numbers. So if I'm looking at this one, my two big number ones, 1 times 1 is 1, and I have x to the second and x to the fifth. That's going to give me x to the seventh. You might see it look like this on your final, but you also might see it look like just an x to the 7. Remember, you don't need that 1 in front of your x in order to show that there's 1 there. Okay, so let's do that same thing with this one. I'm going to multiply my two big numbers. I'm going to take this 2 times this 4. That's going to give me 8. Then I'm going to multiply my x's. I have x to the third and x to the second. When I multiply those, I add my powers. That's going to give me x to the fifth. And then I'm going to do my y's. I have y. If there's no number on it, it's to the first, and y to the third. That's going to give me y to the fourth. Let's try number 3. Oops, number 3 is over here. Okay. When you have that little 3 on the outside, that means whatever's in parentheses, we're going to write 2 times and then do the exact same thing. We multiply our big numbers and add our little numbers. So let's start by writing 2x 3 times. Okay, again, we're going to multiply our big numbers. So 2 times 2 is 4, times another 2 is 8. So my big number is going to be 8. And then I add my little numbers. If there's no little number, it's a 1. So I'm going to say 1, 2, 3. So it's going to be x to the third. Okay, let's move on to number 4. Okay, number 4 is a little bit different. When you have that big line in the middle, that means you're dividing. And when you divide, you actually subtract your powers. So when I subtract my powers, I should never have a negative number. So in order to avoid that, I'm going to take my big number and subtract my smaller number. So on this one, I'm going to take y to the fifth, and I'm going to subtract y to the second, and I get y to the third. If you don't have any, and then I forgot, it's going to sit where your bigger one sits. So because y to the fifth is on top, I'm going to put y to the third on the top. I don't have anything left on my bottom, so I'm going to put it over 1. But most likely on your final, you're just going to have it look like y to the third like that. Okay. Excuse me. When we look at these ones, the first thing we're going to do is simplify. And when I look at 2/4, I can divide both of those by 2 because they have a 2 in common. So 2/4 divided by 2 is going to give me 1/2. Now I'm going to look at my letters. And I have x to the fourth and x to the first. Those are going to give me x to the third. And because my y to the fourth is on top, I'm going to put your x to the fourth on top. I'm going to put my x to the third on top. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same for my y's. I have y to the seventh, that's the bigger one, minus y to the third. That's the smaller one. 7 minus 3 is 4. So because my 7's on the bottom, I'm going to put my y to the fourth on the bottom. That's all I have to do with that one. That would be my final answer. Okay. This one, we have that little 3 on the outside, so we know we have to write it 3 times, but before we write it 3 times, we should simplify. When I look at 3 ninths, they both have a 3 in common, so I'm going to divide both of them by 3 to start off with. So 3 divided by 3 is 1, 9 divided by 3 is 3. Now I'm going to look at my letters. So I'm going to go my bigger one minus my smaller one. So x to the sixth and x to the second. That's going to give me x to the fourth. And it's going to go on bottom. Now I'm going to look at my y's. I have y to the fifth and y to the second. That's going to give me y to the third. So I'm going to put that one on top. Okay. Now that I've simplified on the inside, now I'm going to go ahead and take that and write exactly what I simplified it 3 times. So 1/3 y 3 x 4. 1/3 y 3 x 4. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to multiply our big numbers. So 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. And I'm going to multiply my smaller numbers, or not my smaller numbers, my big numbers on the bottom. 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27. And then I'm going to add my powers. If I have y to the third, y to the third, and y to the third, that's going to give me y to the ninth. And if I have x to the fourth, x to the fourth, x to the fourth, that's going to give me x to the 12th. And there you go for number 6. Excuse me. I feel like I'm starting to get a cold and it's just hitting me here. Okay, let's try number 7. And as I'm screen recording so I can scroll into these, I can't pause my video, which is kind of frustrating. Okay, let's look at this one. When we look at this one, in the middle, we notice we have a plus. Okay, we can only add or subtract polynomials if our powers are the same. So I can only add or subtract this 1x. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. This 1x to the second with anything else that has x to the second. So I'm looking, I have 1x to the second, and I'm going to add 3x to the second. That's going to give me 4x, and my power stays the same. It stays to the second. Now I'm going to want to do my x's. So I have 3x, and it says plus in the middle, but in front of this other one, it's a minus. So I'm going to say 3x. I can do it one of two ways. 3x plus negative 2x, or I could say 3x minus 2x. I'm going to say minus 2x, and I get a positive 1x. And then finally, I see this negative 4 that I'm adding to this positive 9. So negative 4 plus 9 is going to give me a positive 5. Okay, you most likely will see this on the final, 4x squared. It's probably not going to have your 1 in front of your x. It's probably just going to say x plus 5. So if you get the one on the left and you see that the answer is like the one on the right, know that you are correct. That works too. Okay, again, I'm looking. I have this plus in the middle. So I know I'm going to add, so I'm just going to combine my like powers. So I have 2x squared plus 3x squared. That's going to give me 5x squared. I have 7x plus a negative 4x, or 7x minus 4x. That's going to give me a positive 3x. And then I have a negative 1 plus 10. That's going to give me a positive 9. Okay, let's move over to the back side. Okay, looking at number 9, I have this minus in the middle. So when you have that subtraction in the middle, we have to distribute that subtraction to every piece on that second set of parentheses. So the first set of parentheses is going to stay the same. So I have x to the third plus 3x minus 8. That's going to go in parentheses. My minus is going to turn to a plus. And then my second set, because my 4x to the third was a positive 4x and I distributed that negative, now it's going to be the opposite. So it's going to be negative 4x to the third. Because my 3x was positive, I'm going to do the opposite. So I'm going to do minus 3x. And because my 1 was negative, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to do plus 1. And now we're just going to do like we did on the other side. We're going to combine our like terms. So if I have x to the third minus 4x to the third, that x to the third, remember, has a 1 in front of it. So that's going to give me a negative 3x to the third. If I have a 3x minus 3x, okay, 3 minus 3 is 0. And we never write 0x in the math world. If there's none there, we just leave it blank. So I'm just going to ignore those 3x's and move on to my constants, or my ones without a letter. So I have negative 8 plus 1. That's going to give me a negative 7. And then that one's just done. So let's try one more like that. When I look, I have that minus in the middle. So I don't want that minus in the middle. That minus will have to be distributed to each piece. But before we do that, we're going to write our first set exactly like it is. So I'm going to say 2x to the fourth minus 7x plus 1. My subtraction in the middle turns to a plus. Now I'm going to do the opposite of every sign that was inside those first or that second set of parentheses. So I have negative x to the third minus 2x. And now I'm just going to add. I have 2x to the fourth. Do I have any other x to the fourths? No. So I'm just going to write 2x to the fourth. Okay, so the next power would be to the third. I have a negative x to the third. I don't see any other x to the thirds, so I'm just going to write negative x to the third. And then I have this negative 7x and minus 2x. Negative 7 minus 2 is going to give me a negative 9x. And then the last piece I have is this positive 1, so I'm just going to put that on the end, plus 1. Now, if you got an answer that looks something like this, 1 minus 9x minus x to the third plus 2x to the fourth. Okay, your directions say put them in standard form. Standard form means your highest power first. So if you got that second answer, if they were set up differently and you got that second answer, you would have to switch it so your highest power is first, which is that 2x to the fourth. I can tell you right now there's one like that on the final. So make sure when you are going through and you're distributing, if your answer comes out with your highest power being the last thing on the row, then move all your powers over so they go in descending order from your highest power to your lowest power starting on the left side. Okay, let's look at this one. This one, we're going to distribute our 2x to the first to all three of those pieces. So remember, our big numbers times our big numbers, our little numbers times our little numbers, and when we multiply our little numbers, what we're really doing is adding. Okay, so if I have 2x to the first times 1x to the second, that's going to be 2 times 1 is 2, and then I have x to the third. If I want this 2x to the first times negative 3x, 2 times negative 3 is going to give me a negative 6, and I get x to the second. And then if I want this 2x to the first times 5, that's going to give me plus 10x. Okay, number 12. Again, we're doing this addition in the middle. Oops, I like to use yellow. We're doing that addition in the middle, but before we can add in the middle, we have to distribute on both sets of parentheses. So I'm going to distribute this 3 to those pieces, and I'm going to distribute this x to those pieces. So 3 times x squared is going to give me 3x squared. 3 times negative 2x is going to be negative 6x, and 3 times 1 is going to be a 1. Okay, those are going to go in parentheses. I have plus in the middle, and now I'm going to distribute my x to the other set of parentheses. So I have x times 7x, that's going to give me 7x squared. And I have the x times 8, that's going to give me an 8x. Okay, and now we do, just like we were doing before, we're going to add our like terms. So I have 3x squared plus 7x squared, that's going to give me 10x squared. I have negative 6x plus 8x. That's going to give me a positive 2x. And then I just have this lonely one that doesn't have anything I can attach it with, but it's just going to plop on the bottom, plus 1. All right, let's move on to number 13. So when we look at number 13, there's nothing in the middle of those two sets of parentheses. Because there's nothing in the middle, that means that we're going to be multiplying. When you don't see a symbol, you know you have to multiply. So when we did these multiplying, we used the box method. So the first thing I have to do is determine what kind of box I want. So I have 2 pieces here, and I have 2 pieces here. So I need my 4 by 4 box. So I'm going to make that kind of window-looking box. And my red ones are going to go right here. And my blue ones are going to go right here. Okay, so this is x and a minus 2. And this is an x and a plus 5. I'm going to put my coefficient and my power on these. Okay, so when I'm in this box right here, I'm going above it and to the left of it. 1x times 1x is going to give me 1x squared. When I'm in this box right here, I have 1x times negative 2. That's going to give me negative 2x. When I'm in this box right here, I have 5 times 1x. That's going to give me a 5x. And finally, when I'm in this box right here, I have 5 times negative 2. That's going to give me a negative 10. Okay. When I do these parts, we can combine anything that we have like terms for. So when I'm looking, if I have a 5x and a negative 2x, those two can be combined. I'm always going to start with my highest power. So my highest power is 1x squared. So I'm going to keep my 1x squared. Then if I have negative 2x plus 5x, that's going to give me a positive 3x. And then I'm just going to plop that 10 on the end. All right, let's look at our last box method. So this one, remember, if you have that little number 2 on the outside of your parentheses, you have to write it 2 times. So I'm just going to write that 2x plus 1 one time, and then 2x plus 1 another time. I'm going to look to see what kind of a box I need. Well, those are 2 pieces, and this is 2 pieces, so I need that window-looking box again. I'm going to go ahead and draw that in. You could have done these double distribution as well. It doesn't, either one works. So I'm going to go this, and this, and this, and this. So this one's going to be 2x and a positive 1, and this is going to be a 2x and a positive 1. I'm going to put my powers on there. Okay, when I'm on the top left box, 2x times 2x is going to give me 4x squared. If I'm on the bottom left box, 2x times 1 is just 2x. Down top right, 2x times 1, 2x. And bottom right, 1 times 1 is 1. Okay, looking at those, I can combine these two because they both have an x on them. So I'm going to start with my highest power first, 4x squared plus 2x and 2x is 4x plus 1. All right, you are set to complete problems number 23 through 30 in your yellow, well, yours probably isn't yellow, in your packet. So you will open up the packet. If you have your actual packet, if you were in class, you can work on your paper copy. If not, then open up the finals packet. And this part correlates with numbers 23 through 30 in your packet.